One of my tests came up that I had high levels of microplastics in my body, which is crazy because I have lived like a very clean life the past 6 years.
Microplastics are already everywhere. They're finding them in very distant lands, very distant depths of the water to all the organs in people's bodies. Any country in the world can discharge how many microplastics they want.
There's no place basically on Earth that microplastics aren't, but what about on our bodies?
Where scientists looked, they always found microplastics. It was the brain, the lungs, the kidneys, the guts.
What do you think is most important for people to focus on if they're trying to reduce their use and wear of plastic?
The first thing is...
Welcome back to Moms Unbothered, the show where we ditch the toxins, trust our instincts, embrace a healthy lifestyle, and don't care who it bothers. I'm Kate.
And I'm Jordan.
Today is a super exciting episode. We have Dana all the way from Germany. Dana is a microplastics researcher, and she drops some pretty crazy facts on us today. You'll hear all about how plastics are taking over the earth, literally, what you can do to help, and how to avoid them. Before we get into this, if you love conversations that challenge the status quo and help you level up your health, take 2 seconds to hit that like button, subscribe if you're watching YouTube, or leave a quick review if you're a podcast listener. It helps more moms like you find this podcast, and let's be real, the more of us out there, the less we have to explain why we don't let our kids eat McDonald's.
Hi, Donna. We're so excited you're here with us. We would love for you to just start off by telling us how you got started in this, a little bit about yourself, and where you are geographically, because you are not in the U.S., which is fun.
Yeah, actually, I'm from Kazakhstan originally, but currently I'm in Germany. I'm doing my research on microplastics here as well. So both of my parents, they're from the Aral Sea. It's the region in Kazakhstan where a huge environmental disaster took place in the 60s. It was one of the biggest water bodies, lakes in the world. I think maybe second or fourth in the world, but due to human activities, government wanted to take a lot of water for cotton irrigation, and sadly we lost 90% of it. So we only have 10% of it left right now, and it's very devastating. And to hear stories from my grandfather, how he went fishing to that lake, how he went swimming in that lake, and right now I personally cannot see this lake anymore. And it is very sad. That's why I was really interested in environmental science, sustainability, and stuff like this. So I started doing my master's in environmental engineering in Kazakhstan. And I also wanted to work part-time as a research assistant with my environmental chemistry professor. And we were working on different stuff, on risk assessment, air pollution, water pollution. But then he decided to suggest me a new topic, a very, very new topic of microplastics. That was a very hot topic at that time. It was 3 years ago. It was a very hot topic in the environmental science field, but a very understudied one. So there was a lot to research, but at the same time, not a lot of information about it. And honestly, when he suggested to me to start working on microplastic, I was like, I didn't know much about microplastics. It's not the topic that you study during your bachelor's, at least for me was the case. So I knew the basics, microplastic are just tiny particles of plastic, but I didn't know the extent of the problem. So I started reading the papers, reading the research that already existed at that time. And I was just shocked with everything, with every paper that I read. I was just shocked with everything, starting from the fact that microplastics are already everywhere. They're finding them in very distant lands, very distant islands, very distant depths of the water, or very high mountains, to people, to all the organs in people's bodies. And another thing is that there are a lot of things actually, regulations. There's no proper regulations when it comes to microplastics, or how plastic is almost in everything. You cannot, before you think it's just plastic bags or plastic bottles, then it's clothes, then it's personal care products, or tea bags, coffee pad, all of these things that you think they're not plastic. They don't look like plastic in your mind, but they're apparently plastic. So yeah, I was reading about it and I was super interested. And I was like, okay, yeah, we need to do that research. And in Kazakhstan, no one ever did microplastic research before. So I was the first one. I published my paper in scientific journal, Marine Pollution Bulletin. Then after I finished my research, I started doing my master in environmental contamination and toxicology in Europe. I started in France, then continued that in Spain, in Germany currently. Yeah, so I did my microplastics research in Kazakhstan, in Spain, in Germany here. Yeah, it's a very interesting topic, a bit alarming one, but still so many things to learn, so many things to uncover. Yeah, I think that's basically it.
That is crazy. And all I am thinking right now is I have one burning question for you. And it is, now that you know everything about microplastics, are you super aware of the clothing material that you buy for yourself? Or like, is that something that you have started to swap over?
Yeah. I don't want to tell that I'm the person who knows everything about microplastics. I still think I'm far from it. But when it comes to clothing, yeah, I totally changed my. I didn't change my whole wardrobe, but right now, if I buy something, I only buy something that is not plastic, that is not polyester, acrylics, nylon. And there, by the way, there's so many types of them. It's so confusing. Like so many things that you need to know before buying. But for me, it's just very simple. I go for cotton or something very basic like cotton, linen. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think people know or realize what polyester is made out of. And I think it's so shocking to people that we are literally wearing plastic. I mean, when I found out, I was absolutely shocked. So yeah, I think it's important for people to, buy those natural fabrics and just reuse clothes. You don't need the fast fashion, you can rewear a sweater 100 times. It'll be okay.
Exactly. And you can find for people that think that cotton or other natural fabrics are very expensive, you can easily find them secondhand. Like all of these natural fabric clothes, they are all secondhand. It's cheaper and it's again even better for the environment.
For sure. And this is like something this is like one of my last swaps to make for like going more non-toxic, is I was so against like having to swap out my clothes. But my boyfriend, he is like a very avid, like he will only wear organic cotton. Like that's just, or linen. So I've been like slowly swapping things, but it's actually not as intimidating. I was on like Old Navy's website yesterday, and like they have so many cute cotton shorts, cotton basic shirts. And like I've always done that for my son, is like try to buy, cotton shirts, cotton shorts. Obviously, always his undies are organic cotton, but it's actually not as intimidating. And there's so many clothes that are so cute that are cotton. Like this, my top right now that I'm wearing is cotton. And I just had no idea that like so many of what I actually have already bought is cotton. It's just making that conscious decision to like check the tag of what it's made from instead of just buying based off of like, this looks cute on the model, I want it. Now I feel like I'm like more so like going to the description, and is it like at least 50 or 60% cotton, and does it have plastic in it or not? So it seems like an intimidating swap to make, but it's not actually that hard once you start to do it.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm more fascinated with, you said microplastics are found like in the depths of water and high up in mountains. How are they getting there? Like, what are we doing to put them there?
Yeah, I think it's like another topic of like how microplastics is transported. One thing that you need to know, to understand, is that plastics are not easily degraded. So if we have a microplastic particle, it can stay around for like decades or even hundreds of years. And it means, and because microplastics are very, very small, they can be easily picked up by the air, by the water current, or, can be eaten by a fish, and that fish transports, and then, it can be transported in a very distant land. Like, there's the production in one city, and then it goes into the water, and then this water will eventually travel around the world. Like, everything is super connected on our planet, like the ecosystems, the water, the air. So yeah, for microplastics, it's easy to, travel around the world. And that's how they find this. And because again, they are not very easily degraded, they can stay for decades. And in this timeline they can transport from point A to point B. Yeah, that's basically how it happens.
So there's no place basically on Earth that microplastics aren't. But what about on our bodies? Is there any part of our bodies where microplastics aren't found?
I think where scientists looked, they always found microplastics, like all the organs, if I'm not mistaken. It was the brain, the lungs, the kidneys, the guts, I think everything. And I mean, it makes sense because everything around us is like plastic. There's so much plastic everywhere. And if the plastic is in our water, is in our food, and is in the clothes that we wear every day, then I think you can make like the logical assumption that it should be inside of you as well. And yeah, that's sad.
That is crazy. I recently did like I was like chronically sick for a while, so we were trying to get to the root cause of it. And one of my tests came up that I had high levels of microplastics in my body, which is crazy because I have lived like a very clean life the past 6 years. Like I'm conscious about not drinking plastic water bottles, not, like swapping out my bowls and my plates and anything like we're using on a daily basis. I'm trying to avoid plastic, but it's so crazy that it's so hard for your body to detox microplastics, even when you're like I stopped using plastic so long ago, but it's like it's still in my body because it's so hard to detox from.
I also know I'm a big birth nerd, and I know it's found in like babies' placentas even, which is crazy to think about. What about I'm assuming like sperm probably is in everything.
Yeah, there as well. Yeah.
So yeah, we're doomed from the beginning. We're doomed. There's no escaping it. Is it possible to filter it out of our water if we have a good filter?
I would say yes. Yeah, because like microplastic is not a chemical or a certain type. It's more of a physical thing that you can even have in like a physical filter, like a very, very fine one, then you can filter them out. Yeah.
So since like you have been doing this research, what would you say are your top like no-nos for having plastic? Or have you like just completely gotten rid of all plastic? Or like what do you think is most important for people to like focus on if they're trying to reduce their use and wear of plastic? Where would you start?
Yeah, for sure. I think like the first thing is not to freak out because it's easy to go, crazy when you start researching the topic, when you start reading about the topic. And sometimes it can be like not counterintuitive, but counteractive. When you start to freak out about this too much, then you can be like, oh yeah, we're doomed. Then maybe even I wouldn't do anything because what's the point of it if it's already everywhere? So I think, first is not to freak out. But I would say like trying to switch the plastic that is possible to switch and to first start with your food and kitchen stuff. So for me, I cannot stand plastic cutting board like at all because you can literally see like the chunks of plastic when you're cutting. So for me, like plastic cutting board is the first thing that should go. Another thing is are other, plastic cutleries, like, there are plastic spatulas. I don't know who invented those, like plastic spatulas or plastic, for soup, big spoons. And they're directly exposed to heat, which makes plastic degrade very, very fast. So it will leach a lot of microplastics because of the heat. So yeah, for me, it's important to not have any plastic around your food, especially if it's exposed to heat, especially if it's during something that is used during the cooking. Yeah, that's like the first thing. And if possible, then only then you can go and look for your natural clothes, like natural fabric clothes and stuff like this. Another thing is personal care products. A lot of personal care products currently have microplastics as an ingredient. So yeah, maybe look out for those as well. But yeah, in general, not to freak out and just do the switches like slowly and wherever it's possible.
What is the name of like in a personal care product? What would be a word to look out for?
It's so hard to tell. There are so many of those. I think they can easily go to 100. One of the like super popular ones is polyethylene. I think PT is maybe used, but I'm not sure. Yeah, there's too many of those. You can, it's easier to Google.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that's great advice not to freak out, because when I first started my journey, first off, I feel validated here because I stopped with the plastic utensils in the kitchen so long ago and everyone thought I was crazy. I was like, no, there's no way this hot plastic isn't melting into my food. There's just no way. So I feel very validated to hear that, but it's super hard not to, like, when you open your eyes to this world, to not freak out and be like, oh my gosh, like, what's the point of even leaving the house? Because I'm just going to be exposed to all these things, but we can't, I mean, there's nothing we can do about it, really. It's like, we can't live our lives like that. But I know, Kate, you probably can relate too. It's like scary at first. It's overwhelming.
Yeah, I think that's why it took me so long to like want to switch this stuff out, because it's so overwhelming to be like, yeah, everything I use is in plastic. And I even think when I had my son, I'm pretty sure for a while I used plastic bottles and I would like wash them in the hot dishwasher and then, yeah, like give breast milk in these plastic bottles. But what I was just thinking of is so many moms buy there's like sterilizers for bottles. And one, they're plastic, like the sterilizer themselves is plastic. But then I think about like moms like heating up these bottles in plastic, thinking they're doing good because they're sterilizing. But like on the bad, they're heating up this plastic and then putting milk in them to give to their babies. So it's just, it's like so overwhelming to think about how much around us is just filled with plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think I'm going to add up to people freaking out, but I'm so sorry. This is the thing that I learned recently, is that I knew that silicone is plastic. So I don't know if you know, but silicone is a type of plastic. And apparently it leaches microplastics as well.
Great.
So
Yikes.
I was reading, there is so little research about it, but I found one paper and they took, because silicone is very often used in baby products, like, you know, like silicone tits, then silicone, I don't know, pacifiers and stuff like this. And for sterilization, you use like hot steam and stuff like this. And again, when plastic is exposed to heat, you know, it's gonna release even more microplastics. And they did a test with this baby tits, and like how a mother would normally use it, like steaming and sanitizing it with the hot steam. And they found out, like they counted like approximately by the year of one, a baby is exposed to 500 million microplastics just from those tits.
That gave me chills. Whoa. That's crazy.
Yeah. And for many people, like silicone is a great alternative to plastic. But then when it comes to microplastics, then silicone is also releasing microplastic. And the thing is, silicone is releasing way less microplastic than conventional plastic. So imagine if you have like a regular plastic. So if from silicone, it's 500 million microplastics and it's supposed to give less microplastic than conventional one, then imagine how many microplastics are going to be from a conventional one. And yeah.
That is wild. So maybe like stainless steel plates, I guess, or for kids and cups and stuff. I guess, what can we do about the nipples though? Like,
I don't know. Honestly, I don't have an answer for that. Like when I shared this finding in my account, people were like, what are the alternatives? Then what we're going to use? Like, it's not like we're going to use glass or anything, because first, it's not convenient. Another thing is that babies are a bit messy with their stuff, so glass can be shattered and stuff like this. And I honestly don't have an answer for that. I just shared what I found, and yeah, I think we need a systemic change when it comes to that, and the change not only that comes from the people but from the government as well. You know.
Yeah, you mentioned there's no regulations on plastic use. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, for sure. That's a very important topic when it comes to microplastic, because there are some regulations here and there in different countries when it comes to different stuff. But all in all, there are no like proper regulations on plastic. One thing that is very important for me, and that's thing that I started my research back in Kazakhstan. So a bit of a story. I started my research. I did my tests on the wastewater treatment plant back in Kazakhstan. And I had my water. I did all of the treatments, and I wanted to see the concentration. I saw the concentration of microplastics in the wastewater, the water that goes directly into the water body. So it is discharged into our water. And I have this number. I don't remember exactly how much was it, but I have this number. And I'm like, okay, I have this number. So how do I understand if it's a good number, if it's a bad number? I need some, like, something to compare it to, like if there's a limit or anything like this. And I started to search for anything. Of course, I didn't find any regulations or limits in Kazakhstan, developing country, but I was like, okay, there are so many developed countries like, US and European Union, which is very strict with their regulations. And I found none, like absolutely zero. There are no limits. And I was like, okay, so it means that any country in the world, any wastewater treatment plant in the world can discharge how many microplastics they want. So even if it's like 2 microplastics per day, or even like billions of microplastics or trillions of microplastics per day, it's not gonna be fine or anything. It's not gonna be even monitored. Like there are no scientists at the site specifically looking for the concentration of microplastics in your water, not in the wastewater, not in the water treatment plants. So that was shocking for me. And that's the thing. That's why I'm very interested in these regulations and policies. I'm a complete zero in that. I have zero experience, but I think it's very important because that's like the highest amount of microplastic that goes into our environment, like directly.
Have they done studies on, because I know obviously heating plastic that's definitely leaching microplastics into your food, into your drinks, whatnot. But like, what about when you're just using, let's say someone makes a sandwich and they put the sandwich in their plastic Tupperware to take to work, or their plastic sandwich bag to take to work? Are those still leaching microplastics into their food? Like, is it just whatever is touching plastic?
I would say yes, of course, way less if they would heat food in that Tupperware, in that plastic. But yeah, it would still leach microplastic. But I cannot say like if it's a big number or a small number. It also depends if the plastic container itself is, for example, old. So it's been used for a couple of years, then it of course will leach more microplastics.
Yikes. That's so
Yeah, this whole time I'm thinking like, oh, I need to like move to a remote island, but there's no getting away from it. So there's nowhere I can go. When was plastic like first introduced? Do you know? Like when did it first come around?
Yeah, I think it was like around 80 years ago. So not very
long, and we've done a lot of damage with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the scariest thing. Like the amount of plastic that is produced for just single use. And then it goes into our environment like for decades or for hundreds of years. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when are they going to start caring, do you think, about regulating this sort of stuff? Doesn't sound like they're going to care.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know.
Yo, that's wild. That's insane. That makes me, I mean, it's kind of like, it feels like there's like bugs crawling on you, but it's just plastic.
I'm like trying to rack my brain of like all the things that I still use that are plastic during the day. Now I'm like not going to be able to like, even just a silicone thing, because moms switch, their baby products to silicone thinking they're doing so much better. Like they'll buy the silicone plates and they'll buy the silicone like forks and spoons and the silicone even baby bottles or sippy cups, thinking that like, oh, I'm, like we think as moms, like, yes, this is a better choice option, but like really it's still plastic, just maybe a little bit more fancy, which is crazy. So do you think like stainless steel and glass, like those are like the best options, or what, in your opinion, what should people be swapping to?
Personally, I swap to stainless steel and to glass or to wood, for example, when it's possible, of course. But in the things that I'm not controlling, of course, then I would not freak out about this. I know like microplastic is such a scary topic. I know like all the information that I'm sharing, like especially if you're like new to the topic, it can be very, overwhelming. But there are bright side to that as well.
Like what?
Like, I had a talk with one guy. He has this startup. It's called Microplastics, and they're creating this very cool like technology where they like introduce a lot of very tiny bubbles into the water, and then microplastics, they attach to these bubbles and they go like on the surface of the water, so they can all remove microplastic very efficiently. Yeah, but that's not a part of the story. So we were discussing with this guy about the microplastic, how this problem started, and how it's interesting, and at the same time it's very scary. And he told me like we're at the historical point where we know about the problem before it caused too much damage, before it's irreversible damage, Like with climate change or any other environmental problems or any like social problems, we discover the problem only after it made a very irreversible damage to the environment, to the planet, to the people, or anything like this. And with microplastics, because we have like, very good technology, so a lot of researchers, a lot of scientists, a lot of funding, maybe not for now for you, but in general before. So we at this historical point where we still have time, it's very important. We still have time to reverse this damage and to do something about the problem before it done something irreversible, And I don't know, it was very motivating to hear that and to be a part of the historical movement of removing this microplastic and maybe finally, remove this pollution, microplastic pollution from our planet, which is, very inspiring.
Yeah, it's pretty neat that you are into this and you're so passionate about it, which is beautiful. I think people see it and just run from it or roll their eyes because it can be very overwhelming to even think about. But it's pretty neat that you're so into it. It's really cool. I also want to touch back on the bottle thing. I know breastfeeding moms are probably thinking like, oh, I should have breastfed and everything, but I'm sure microplastics probably in breast milk too. So it's not like there's anything we can really do about it. So all the moms listening, don't worry. You're doing great.
Don't worry. The moms who breastfed still had microplastics in their kids, just through their boob, not the bottle.
Yeah, that's true. Like moms here are doing absolutely amazing. It's no matter if you're using plastic or silicone, it's a hard job already. Yeah.
I'm even thinking like I had to use the nipple shield when I tried to breastfeed, and that thing was plastic too. So it's like you really can't win.
Yeah. I want to know who gaslit us into telling us silicone's fine.
Yeah, because that was like a crunchy thing.
Movement.
Like all the crunchy moms are using silicone. And it's like,
No,
yeah, just.
But that's true because when I had this scientific interest about like silicone and microplastics, because when you literally Google if silicone sheds microplastic, you will have so many websites telling you no, like silicone is not shedding any microplastics. And I don't know, like so many people and websites telling this, but when I check the research, then it says the other thing. Of course, you would listen and believe the actual scientific research, but having all this, people will not go to answer to this question. They will not go directly to search for research. They will just do a Google and, they saw this 2-3 websites selling like, no, silicone is not shedding any microplastic. And of course, they're going to believe this. And yeah, this is crazy.
Yeah, those websites are probably selling the silicone thing that they're saying is safe. Oh, man. Do you have any other questions, Kate?
No, but can you tell people, so did you start your research and then you started your Instagram page, or how did it come to fruition of you coming on the internet and wanting to talk about microplastics?
Yeah, actually, I started my research and then I started doing my account. But in general, I really liked editing videos, shooting videos since I was a child. So I was always the one with the camera, when you make this cringy movies with your siblings.
Yeah.
I was the one who was filming everything and editing everything. And I liked it was just a hobby for me since I was a child. And yeah, I always edited videos even before starting my account. But then I was like, this is not giving me anything. I spent so much time on it. Maybe it would be cool to try to incorporate those two things. Like one thing that I'm very passionate about, which is environment, sustainability, and some knowledge about microplastics, and like my hobby of filming, editing, and stuff like this. And yeah, I combine those things. I started my account actually a year ago. So yeah.
Your account, it came up, it just happened to pop up on my thing. One, it's very informative. You learn a lot. But two, it's so aesthetically pleasing and you're beautiful. So it's like all combined. It's like, wow, it's so easy to learn from you because everything's so beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. Do you want to tell people your handle for people to find you?
Yeah, I don't know if they will be able to understand from it, but it's Dankaze.
Okay, spell it out.
Dankazh.
Perfect.
We'll
That's
put it in the
actually-
show notes too.
Yeah, that's the account name was invented by my sister, and I think it was 13 years ago or something like that. When Instagram just started,
Nice.
and
Yeah, that was a long time ago. Oh my gosh, I'm old. I feel old. Wow. Okay, this is a great conversation. I know people are gonna learn so much from you, and I hope everybody follows your account. We'll definitely put your account in the show notes, and when this comes out, we'll definitely collab with you. This was really informative, and I hope people aren't freaked out, but feel powerful having them. Like, at least we know it's happening to us now.
yeah, exactly. That's important.
There's
Yeah,
nothing we
don't
can do about
forget-
it.
We're
Don't
doomed,
forget
but at least we know.
the role of the government and the policies.
Yeah.
Not only
Yeah.
our problem.
Maybe we should all write worded letters to our local government at least.
Petition.
It's a start.
Yeah, I want to start a petition, by the way, on microplastics. But
Yeah.
again, as I said, I have like zero experience, so I need to do everything from scratch. And
Gotta start somewhere. Let us know if we can help at all.
Yeah,
Mary
we'll
Kate's
sign.
got a big following. She can get people to sign.
great.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for coming
so
on.
much. Yeah. This
Thank you
is
so much for inviting.
fun. Bye.
Bye.
That's it for today's episode of Moms Unbothered. If this conversation made you think differently, question the norm, or even just feel a little more empowered in your health journey, do us a favor. Share this with another mom who needs to hear it.
If you're loving the show, the best way to support us is by leaving a quick review, subscribing, and connecting with us on social media. It helps us reach more moms who are ready to take back control of what goes on in and around their families. We'll be back next week with another conversation, but until then, trust your instincts, question to everything, and stay unbothered.